everyone, welcome to I'm Not a Fan Unless I Have a Podcast. I'm John Hanford, and I hope everybody's doing well. I hope we're all being good anti-racists, and um, yeah, I'm not going to go on a whole spiel today because number one, I'm stoned. I'm about to slip up and say something stupid, and I don't want to be a detriment to the cause. Um, let's see this. But I do want to say, oh man, um, we've got. I mean, this just insane to me that we're seeing. And I please, I mean this sincerely. Like this isn't really a spiel. It's just like some I've just got to get out there. Like there have been 3 or 4. At least that many lynchings in the past, or that have come to light in the past week, in the last few days. I mean, it's just insane. There was one in Palmdale, which is I think that's Los Angeles County, and then there was one in Victorville at the end of May. That was Victorville. For those of you who don't know, it's a really small town. But it's about an hour, 20 minutes away from where I live. Same county, San Bernardino County, California, and I mean it's just insane to me that both those were likely. I mean, there's just no. The police say that they were suicides, which seems to just be their way of trying to get news coverage away from the area, and ultimately not have to do the work of investigating and actually thinking and being a halfway decent detective. Like it's just insane. I believe it was it was the guy in Victorville. His name was Malcolm Harsh, and he was hanged with a USB cable. I mean, and they wanted to call that a suicide. Like, that's a little hasty. Sorry to get dark, but fuck, man. And the irony isn't lost on me that like here I am. I'm growing up thinking we're in a post racist era, which I mean, obviously we know is not true, but I grew up with that, with believing that, and then you see somebody get lynched with the USB cable. That's like the most 21st century lynching you can imagine. I mean, it's just fucked. I mean, that's a disturbing thing to take note of, but it's like that really should be a piece of protest art. Like, somebody should make a sculpture or something. I don't know. A sculpture, probably not. I'm stoned, but it's okay. We're getting off of this topic. We're gonna get right back into what's so great about this episode, which is my conversation with Declan. He's a kid from somewhere near Melbourne. I forget if it was Melbourne exactly, but he's roughly from the same area as Gizz. He's 17 and has great taste, and I mean, like it's fucking cool having like a bunch of kids on this podcast, but yeah, like Declan and I were just fucking bouncing ideas right off each other and shit. It was cool. We were vibing. It was the time. And like I'd been awake for 19 hours. So, I just was kind of in a kooky mood and just a kooky headspace and mindset and all of that shit. And it was just a really fun time. We're all over the place. covered a lot of ground. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this, and I hope you all are, going to make the most of this week and try to find something positive in your day. It's hard to do that with all that's going on in the world and everything that we're being, enlightened to, including the, disturbing shit that I filled the first half of this intro with. But look for the bright spots, and we're gonna get through this if we just all stick together and believe in community. So, without further ado, and to ultimately cut off my bumbling ass, here's Declan.
Hey, what's happening?
No, nothing much. How are you?
All right. Let me see. I'm gonna move to a different room. Just since it's late and we've got thin walls in the apartment, so
yeah. Sorry, I'll make sure. Hopefully, there won't be too much background noise in my place.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's fine. I'm actually moving to I'm going out to my car to record. It's sorry. Okay. So yeah, man, how you doing?
Not bad. How are you?
Good. Just it's been a long day.
Yeah.
But I got up at 5:30 this morning. It's just one of those days where I woke up early and couldn't fall back asleep, so I figured, I might as well get the day started. Did some laundry, and I haven't been asleep since. And now it's at midnight my time.
Jeez.
But anyway, man, thanks for calling into the pod.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so you're the so at the time of recording, there's only been 2 episodes released, but you are the second Australian guest that I've had on the podcast. So I
represent.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm thrilled to be staying up this late.
Great.
But yeah, man. So what's a little bit of your background?
Well, I am 17. I'm about Flightless HQ, right? In Melbourne.
Yeah.
I'd say if I was, not that I can drive, but if I could get into a car and go there, it'd probably take me about 45 minutes to an hour. Like that's how close I am to them, which is
that's cool. Nice.
I feel very thrilled, even though I've never met them. Nice to know I'm nearby.
Yeah.
And that a Brunswick band could make it so big, it's actually quite incredible, seeing them come from where they did come from.
Yeah. So you come from the same area?
Yeah, sort of. I think they're a little bit north to the city, and I'm down south in the suburbs, sort of thing. So similar sort of area, but I feel like if you were to talk to someone around here, they'd call me out on my bullshit.
Nice. So I did a little bit of Facebook stalking. So, you added me, so it's normal. But but yeah, so you're a musician as well?
Yes. I've been playing guitar for a while, and then just picking up as many instruments as possible, I guess, since then.
Nice.
Yeah.
So do you play in any bands or anything?
Yeah, so I'm in 2 bands right now. One of them that is a bit inspired by King Gizzard, I can't lie, and the other one that's very the Aussie rock scene that's down here at the moment. I don't know if you'd know bands like Hockey Dad or DZ Death Rays or something, but that sort of scene, cool,
nice.
Cool music. Yeah, that's the best I can describe it.
I feel like I've heard of Hockey Dad.
They're pretty cool. They're they're a 2-piece. I have no idea where in Australia they're from, but they're like a 2-piece, something you could sit on the beach and chuck on the radio. I feel like that's the sort of sound.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So that band, I'm a 2-piece as well in that band. So I have an octave pedal and everything on my guitar, which is pretty sick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then my other band, it's mostly just recording at the moment, but I play basically all the instruments, and then me and my mate, we're sort of co-frontmen, and we'll sing, and then he'll actually record it, and then we'll write together. It's just cool. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So when did you first discover Gizz?
Shit. I'm pretty sure it was like early 2018, I believe. I was getting out of my bedroom pop phase and in my into my Arctic Monkeys, and I remember we were at my mate Nick, who I'm in the band with. We were recording demos with Bodie Gardner, shout out, and I'm pretty sure he put on The River on Nick's big fancy TV with the great speakers to show something. And just watching that video and listening to The River and just going, holy shit, that is incredible. Like that's amazing. And I guess just like I didn't really get into. I think I actually got into the band when we were on a school excursion. I decided to listen to Nonagon Infinity all the way through on the train into the city. And just, I remember getting off the train and going up to my friend and just the priceless face, like this. If I could like have that emotion for the rest of my life, I'd be very happy. It was incredible.
Yeah, that's got to be just a wild feeling.
Yeah, like I think I knew what I was getting into, but just like actually hearing it and going, shit, like wow, everything going on. It's I don't know, I just love it.
Yeah, because like I remember my first time listening to Nonagon Infinity, I didn't know that it was a that like it was an album that was just nonstop and on a loop. Like I had no context for what it was. I just saw like, hey, this is another one of their albums. I'll put it on, and I was like, yeah, I really like Gamma Knife. But then I was like, where does this song start or stop? So it was, God, I was just full on. I mean, just like full on special needs, like in retrospect. But yeah, dude, like the video for The River.
Oh God, he's so good, Jason Galea. Is that how you say it? Yeah, I think. That's
yeah. I'm pretty sure it's Galea.
That man. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, because like I remember, like my first time seeing The River video was actually when I saw them play The River live.
Wow.
And when I saw them in New York in 2018, and they played it all the way through, all 4 parts, and then they just had the video going on the projector screen, and I just remember like I was on mushrooms, like I was tripping balls, and I saw like the gator come through, and I was like, whoa, okay, you are my spirit animal. And like I just got so attached to that whole video and the gator especially.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah, God. Yeah, no, that I remember seeing that video and just like it probably was the video that really first like caught me. But like even just the song, because I wasn't very used to weird time signatures and stuff, and not that The River's in like a crazy complex time signature, but the fact it's just a cool 5/4 riff. I remember that going, oh, that exists now. That's in my life now. This is something I have to experience.
Yeah, it's weird. Like with time signatures, like I've been playing music for most of my life, but like I never really got that into music theory. But I remember like when I used to play trumpet in high school band, and like I remember sometimes we'd be playing these songs that had like parts were in 5/4, and it was just like other time signatures. But I figured like that was only to teach us like that these other time signatures exist. Like it wasn't anything that was that interesting. I thought like, all right, this is a song with a weird time signature just for the sake of having a weird time signature. So I never really got into it.
Yeah.
But with Gizz, like they've got so much really interesting stuff that's not in 4/4.
Yeah.
And I mean it's just totally gotten me back into or I guess for the first time into at least that part of music theory, just like at least getting into rhythm.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about you, but half of like when I think especially Nonagon, I guess, is the one that comes to my mind first. Like that album definitely has some weird time signatures, but honestly wasn't until my friend would go, oh, how weird is that part in that song? How weird is like Gamma Knife is like 11 something, but I didn't pick that up until a little until like months after I can listen to it for the first time, just because they do it so effort.
Yeah.
I can't speak apparently.
Yeah, but I think we all get what you're saying.
It's great. Like the drums aren't they just like a kick snare? So everything's just they're so good.
It's a lot of kick snare, and then it's like sort of, and then there's like a pickup beat that's just like the final, that sort of signifies that measure is over.
Yeah. The snare at like the very last hit. Yeah, I remember there was a video or something on YouTube I remember watching, going, that's it. That's what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, like Mr. Beat is also a really underrated song on that record. Like I never really cared for it on the record. I thought like, okay, it fits in it fits where it is in the album, just because like it's right after was it right after People Vultures?
Yeah.
So it's like, that's sort of like a nice
good
little respite before Evil Death Roll, and I mean, because that's just a banger. But it was, I think they played Mr. Beat in the Paris show that they released on Bandcamp, and like just hearing the live version of it just really sort of got me into it and everything.
Doesn't he play on flute in the live version?
I don't know if he plays flute on Mr. Beat, but he did for Hot Water.
Of course. You can't play Hot Water without the flute. It's actually quite incredible. Like, do you like? I can say from personal experience, the flute is hard to play. I can't. I've really struggled to pick that one up. It's
it's weird. Like I actually. Like there's a flute that's been in my family for a while, and it's just sitting in my parents' basement. I've never even tried to play it.
Really?
I don't know why it's never occurred to me to pick it up. Like, I'm gonna have to do that when I like next time I'm able to go home. Which who knows? I've
got one sitting on my shelf, like I'm looking at it right now, and I've really tried. I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those instruments, and I commend him for being able to play it so well. It so well. Honestly.
I mean, hey, if it's sitting right there, you wanna grab it and see if you can get some notes out.
No. I'll save that for another time. Not worth it. I can't get anything out of it. And it's too hard to get across the room. It's too much.
It's that's a lot of steps.
Yeah. No,
man.
I think he was when I was first trying to pick up a different instrument here and there, it was mostly for my enjoyment. When I found out how many instruments Stu McKenzie can actually play, that was when I was like, no, that's what I want to do. I want to be that guy who can go to a music shop or something and just go, oh yeah, I'm gonna try this thing out. I'm gonna try this out as well. And try, like your regular Jacob Collier, or what.
Yeah,
I love it. He's incredible good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's one thing to play multiple string instruments, like I play both guitar and mandolin, and I could play bass if I wanted to, or I mean really if I owned one I would be playing bass, but like the bass line that I've been doing for the theme song of this podcast is like that's just my guitar just on ultimate rhythm settings, just turn the treble all the way down. But
I have to say, getting an octave pedal was one of the best decisions for my guitar rig I've ever made. I will be honest. I love it.
Yeah,
it's incredible. It's I don't know. I didn't think, because we were just using a super octave from a Boss one. I think I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Boss.
Yeah, and it wasn't bad, but getting this Pog it just sounds incredible. And I can use it. So for my 2-piece band, I just turn it down. There you go. There's the bass for our live show. And then for the other bands, you can turn on some of the high end, and then, it's got this octave up and it sounds like a 12 string. I think that's a worthy investment in my opinion as someone who's mostly an acoustic guitarist.
Yeah, I do have a harmonizer pedal from Eventide. So it's got like hundreds of different settings built in, and it does have an octave setting. But like just when I've been playing around with that, I haven't really been able to get a good bass sound out of it. It's mostly sounded like if you had a synth effect on a bass. So that can be cool for some stuff, but like, you know, for just if I want like a clean bass sound, I'm kind of shit out of luck. I might want to just get one of those pedals.
Yeah,
but
I know you feel kind of, because the only bass I have is a fretless bass, and while it's cool, it's very cool. It's only really good for live settings, because otherwise it just like you can hear too many bung notes while you're playing it, and it's it's not that. It's a cool bass. I very much like it. I can play the microtonal Gizzard songs on it because I can go halfway through the fret. But besides that, it's like it's cool.
You know, just like an hour ago, I was watching a video on Instagram with Donny Benet. Are you familiar with him?
I don't think so. No, sorry.
So Donny Benet he's also Australian. He's got like this one man show. He plays like basically like disco, but he's just a fucking amazing bassist, and he was just showing everybody like this riff he was doing on a fretless bass, and it just sounded sick. I definitely recommend checking him out. I saw him play in the States last summer. He opened up for Drug Dealer, and like he was just fantastic. And like I saw him at a really small venue.
Yeah.
It was like maybe 200, 300 people. And he gets on stage. He was like, "Weird to be playing a room like this. Like I was just in Europe playing to a crowd of 10,000." Like, and he's just like, you know, but I guess you got to take a step back every now and again. It's just like shitting on the room, but it was great. But yeah, he's a great bassist and like really funky. If you play fretless, you'd probably dig his stuff. But yeah, so you're also sort of a recent like you recently discovered Gizz.
I wish I was a cool, not a long time fan. You know, been there since like Float Along or something cool like that. But no.
Oh my god! Yeah, I've talked to a couple people so far that have been like they've been Gizz heads since 2014, and I'm just like, dude, I wish I discovered them back then, because like I do credit King Gizzard a lot with just sort of like not necessarily saving my life, but definitely enriching it and like helping me to focus on like the good things. Like it just sucked. Like I'm 30 now, and I discovered Gizz when I was 27, and so 2017, and I was like I just wished that I had found him before then, because like I was just being I don't know, for lack of a better word, I was just kind of an angry cunt. Just you know. I'm trying to use Australian lingo. I think that's you guys use that word a lot. I heard, you know, Amy Taylor from Amyl and the Sniffers call the crowd a cunt like several times in Brooklyn. So I was like, all right, I think that's cool to say.
Cool kids are saying it now. That's all that matters.
Yeah, but yeah, like I wish I'd gotten into them, because I don't know, I could have been a better person for longer, you know. But
I could have been a better guitarist for longer if I'd have known them earlier. I feel like it's funny. Since starting to listen to them, you know, you add little things that I don't know about you, but when I really get into a band, I start to mimic little things that they might do. And so like with Gizz, they've got that little flicker, like hammer-on thing that they seem to do a lot, and I use that all the time now.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. It's just a great little sound.
Yeah, just like the little hammer-on pull.
Yeah, exactly. Just when you could just go you just do a little.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you attribute that to Gizz, because I mean, like I've heard that done on by several different artists, but yeah, Joey especially likes to do those. Like his guitar playing is
incredible,
just phenomenal.
Oh my god, watching that Chunky Shrapnel when they did the River, that like jam session, I'm pretty sure I watched that on like repeat for a day. It was incredible. I loved it. Amazing.
Oh yeah,
God.
Well, and also like I don't know if have you ever seen Gizz live?
No, I can't. Melbourne's really annoying like that, and everything's 18 plus, and so, I have
What?
to wait. Yeah.
I thought Australia was like way cooler than the US.
I'd like to think we are.
Like,
we
barely?
have we have like Tim Tams and everything, but we can't go see King Gizzard if you're under 18. So is it worth it?
Okay, so I just need to ask you something. What are Tim Tams?
No, Tim Tams. Oh my god, they're like a dessert sort of biscuit. They're just the best. It's like two bickies, and would you know what a biscuit is? Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what a biscuit is. Cool. I don't know what a bicky is. Is a bicky a biscuit?
Bicky is it's like a slang. I could be wrong. It's just something we say in my family, but it's like a slang. And so you have two of them with some like chocolate icing in between, and then chocolate on the outside as well, like normal chocolate melted and on it. And then I'm terrible at explaining things, but you taste it for the first time, and your life will never be the same. It's like the King Gizzard of biscuits or cookies, as we probably say. I can't. Some of the words you guys say like just don't roll off my tongue. It's really funny. Like candy, I don't like saying that word, but lollies, just smooth off the tongue,
Yeah, well, you guys have a lot more fun with the language.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just say that much. Like in America, we have to dumb everything down because education is lacking in most areas. So, and like now we have a whole country full of people running around, and like they have no idea what to believe, and a lot of that's because they can't read. So, so you guys have a really awesome grasp on the language. I think mainly because like you guys make a lot of you guys make a lot of contributions, I guess, to the language to like make it sound better. Like you improve English. It's really fun. Like I was talking with like the other Australian I was talking with a few episodes ago. She was telling me that she was saying that Amyl and the Sniffers are bogan, which is your guys' word for white trash. And I was just like, that's fucking great. Like,
oh yeah, oh my god, they are bogan, aren't they? So good. I love our little slang. It's just great.
Yeah, you guys are the best. I wish my ancestors had committed more crimes. Because they immigrated from the UK to, or I guess England, to America instead of fucking up and getting shipped off to Australia.
Yeah. Well, if you want someone, because I'm a pretty generalized Australian with my accent and stuff, you want someone who's really bad, you got to look for someone up in like northern Queensland or something. Well, then that's the jackpot. That's your like crikey mate jackpot. Okay. I'm a pretty civilized sort of Australian accent, which is sad, but it's fine.
I think it's good. Like, I just think like considering like y'all come from, just like your background is at some point criminal. I feel like that just gives you just a sense of freedom in a way. It just like it I think it has something to do with like you guys have a great sense of humor generally.
Well, like I love every one of those. Like you know The Simpsons, right? Have you ever watched? Watched the episode where Bart gets in trouble with the Simpsons with in Australia or something? They have to go to Australia. That's like that's one of my favorite episodes.
Oh shit!
Really? I love it so much just because it's so poorly depicting Australia, but it's so true in so many ways as well. Like when they're like, I'm gonna say this to my local member of parliament, and he's like, goes out as a girl and puts his head out his window. He's like, "Hey, Bill," and it's this guy feeding pigs or something. The Prime Minister's just floating in like a tire in a lake with a can of beer, and he's naked as well. I should add that. And he's just sitting there. It's like, Mr. Prime Minister, hey Kev. He's like, yeah, what's up? It's just, I love it. Yeah, I love. Yeah, no, I love being made fun of for my Australianness. It's great.
Oh yeah, no, look, it's like I talk shit, but like I am so envious. like I really want to, go down there at some point.
We've got I personally think we've got the new music scene happening down here. Mostly, like I think especially in Melbourne, which might be kind of cocky of me to say, but like what was happening?
I think it's
accurate. What was happening in like England, a couple of decades ago. I think we're getting that now in Australia, which I'm very excited for. I love it. I'm very happy about it. I think it's great.
Yeah. I mean, it's great because, like, in a lot of ways, you guys don't really need the rest of the world now. Like,
exactly. We're independent finally. Music.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is something I seriously envy. Like, it's just so cool to have, like, all these new musical acts just coming up, just popping up right out of Melbourne. And I mean, probably other places in Australia as well, but as far as getting back to Gizz.
Oh yes, of course.
So like Nonagon, the river, that's cool. But like, what have been some of the more experimental stuff that Gizz has done that you've taken a major liking to?
Well, I mean, I can say right off the bat, I love their use of like with Murder of the Universe and Eyes Like the Sky, like their like narration. I never thought I'd be interested in that in music, but wow, it's so good. How is that? And I don't like I'm not going to say I don't like metal or like really heavy music, but I've never been able to properly get into it. But once Infest the Rat's Nest came out, that was all I listened to for like. I'm going to say a month, and that's probably hyperbole, but it was just, I don't know what it was. And it's great that like genres I never thought I would fully get into, them to do it and me go, yep, cool, great, I'm in. That's all I need. Let's do it.
Yeah, I was the same way with Infest the Rat's Nest. Like I went through a brief metal phase when I was like a freshman in high school. Like I used to listen to Slipknot for like a few months and Mudvayne and like all these new metal bands, but then nothing until Infest the Rat's Nest came out last year, and yeah, it was the same thing. Like the songs were so interesting, and also because King Gizzard isn't really a metal band, I figured like they were going to be just incorporating a lot of things to sort of bridge that gap, between like the rest of their stuff and, their foray into metal. I mean, like I've said this a few times on this podcast, but like just that intro to Venusian 1 is just sick.
Dude, when I chuck that on my vinyl, oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah, I think that's going to be my next vinyl purchase.
Very much worth it. I can tell you, very much worth it. You get that that whole second half. It's its own story, and so when you actually get it on like its own B-side of the vinyl, it's just I don't know. It completes the picture for me personally.
Yeah, what's really weird about King Gizzard is just how often it is that I prefer the B-sides of the records to the A-side.
Now I think about it, that's kind of true actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's so bizarre. Like with Mind Fuzz, you got the Mind Fuzz suite on the first side, and then Empty and Hot Water, and that's great. But it's like the second side, you get Am I in Heaven? You get the slow jams, Satan Speeds Up, and like it's
like
it's
so
sick.
Like Her and I is one of my favorite songs, but it's just so good.
Yeah.
It's like 8 minutes of them just going at it, and it's perfect.
Yeah, and also on Polygon Dwandaland, like you got the Horology suite, and then Tetrachromacy and Searching and Fourth Color. And it's like that is such a good progression. I mean, that whole album is amazing. beginning to end. But I've always felt like, you know, the songs on the A side after Crumbling Castle were a little like I was excited after Crumbling Castle to get to Inner Sound.
Okay, that's
You
fair enough.
know?
I'll give you that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously the whole album's great, but yeah, just the B side, it's like that's like really where the journey seems to take off a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Um, uh,
I could
so
talk
yeah,
about that
man.
album for ages.
Yeah. So what of their uh what are some other albums you've like? Have you found yourself listening, like going through phases with each of their albums, or have there been some that you haven't really touched
Most
as much?
definitely, I go through like each album. I sort of go through a phase. Like I listen to all of them, but then I'll like stick to one mostly for a bit, and then I'll move on. And like at the moment, I'm in a Quarters phase, and I don't know why, but I love that album so much right now.
Yeah, it's a great
fantastic. And like, you know, when I was starting out, it was Nonagon, and then I think it jumped to like Murder. And then from there, I think I got into Float Along. I think, yeah. And then just, yeah, I feel like that's what's great about it. You could sit on an album for ages and then go to something new and still be very much interested.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because like there's always something new that I pick up on whenever I listen to them.
Yeah.
Like just even if it's not something in the song, it's just like I'm more cognizant of like I'm more aware of my mood and just like how the songs make me feel as I'm listening to them. It's really weird, but it's just like the coolest, you know, inexplicable phenomenon. But yeah, man. So I think we're gonna wrap up pretty soon. But before I let you go, is there anything that you have on your mind, just in general, that you wanted to share? Just it could be about Gizz or just anything else.
Well, I'm kind of looking at the discography right now as I talk to you on Spotify, and I've just noticed that because they put up Eyes Like the Sky the other day, which is very thankful of them. But it's the old cover, like it was the new cover. It looks like they've changed it back to the old cover. I think we did it as a fan base and got them to change it back. Yeah, I'm very happy. I mean, like the new one was fine, and I think that's what I'm going to get. Because I just ordered Eyes Like the Sky on vinyl, so I think I'll get the new cover. But I like that old cover a bit more.
Yeah, me too. I like I bought the reissue of Eyes Like the Sky, so it's got the new cover and everything, and like at least the sleeve for the record, like at least that has the art for the old cover, but I don't see why you don't like. I don't really understand the point of changing it.
I think there might have someone on the chat on the group was talking about like potentially like just because it's representation on the cover or something, they might have gone to a little bit of trouble or just to be respectful. I don't really know, but I don't know very much about America's history. I'll be very much honest about that. I don't know enough to talk about it, but yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, it's I like one thing I like about Eyes Like the Sky is that it's, you know, written by Australians. So it's like you guys are you're removed enough from it where it's like you could basically make up stories and it's fine. But yeah, like if an American band had done that, yeah, there would have been protests for sure. And like I wouldn't have agreed with the protests because as far as I'm concerned, it's an expression of art, and it was I mean, like they're talking about like a really cool phenomenon, like a Native American who had blue eyes, and like that saved him. I don't see anything wrong with the album. And I mean, it's when you get down to it, it's just art. So yeah, I that's too bad if that is true that they caved to like PC pressure. That's a bummer, but but I do understand I understand that as well. You know, they want to keep the records on the shelves.
Exactly. Oh, and because I know we've got to wrap up, but I've noticed as well in I think it's Satan Speeds Up. You know how the recording sort of messes up at the start of the first verse.
On Spotify,
well, it doesn't anymore.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, I think they they re-uploaded it
It
or
scared the
something.
shit out of me when I listened to it. I was like expecting, singing along and expecting the tape to go, and it didn't. And I sat there for like a minute, like that's not right. Something there. I
Yeah,
don't know how I feel about that. I like it, but I don't know how to feel about it.
yeah. You know what's funny about that is the one of the reasons it took me so long to get into Mind Fuzz was just that I couldn't listen to it like with everything fucking up because it did that in Satan Speeds Up, Cellophane skipped,
Oh yeah.
um, and I think those were the only two on that album that skipped. But
That was when they were
uh,
experimenting with messing up with the tape and stuff, wasn't it? Like I think they had that in their bootleg Holiday to Hell as part of like yeah.
yeah, I mean they had that for like with
Yeah.
quarters when they were recording that. Um, but let's see what was it? And also with like Paper Mache Dream Balloon, I think they did that at the end, um, just like screwing around with the
Oh
tape.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
The very last track, it like explodes and everything. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean it's a cool thing, but also um, the one track that's left on that's left on Spotify that I think still skips is Head on Pill, and it's like a really subtle skip.
I've never noticed it.
So yeah, it's like I didn't notice it for a while until like somebody pointed it out, and then I was listening for it and I caught it. But like it's when they're just jamming out. It's probably like 12 minutes in or something. So like it's it falls by the
Yeah,
wayside pretty easily.
like as much as I love that song, I feel like that album is the one I listen to the least out of all of them. Sadly, yeah.
Float along.
It's got some good songs on it, but
Re-
I think that's the one I would go back to the least.
Yeah, I've been going back to it a decent amount, just because like I've recently taken a liking to like a lot of the other songs on it. Because it used to be I would just listen to Float Along, Fill Your Lungs for Head on Pill, and then just sort of be happy to I'm just like, oh cool, these other songs are on the
Yeah,
album as well. Um, but um, but yeah, with uh, but like now I'm actually, or I guess in the last few months I've really gotten into like just a lot of the other songs on it, like Mystery Jack, 30 Past 7, um, and I have a few more that I'm blanking on. But one album that took me for like forever to get into was
yeah.
12 Bar.
I found that with me and my mates as well, just because it's not the sort of sound you expect from them, which is kind of what they are. So I don't know why that was the case, but yeah,
Yeah, well, I mean, because like the first album that I heard them play was Polygon Dwanaland, and then from that I moved on to Flying Microtonal Banana, um, and so yeah, to like go through all the more recent stuff and then go back to 12 Bar was just like, okay, I don't
yeah.
really get it, because like I've never really been much of uh, a garage
Mhm.
rock guy, um, but that album has grown on me a ton. Um, so it's and also it's my dad's favorite album of
That's
theirs.
good. Yeah, that 12 bar is
Yeah,
kind of
just
like
'cause,
the sort of sounds that you'd see down my way at the moment. Um, the
yeah,
garage sort of surfy sort of rock. Yeah, that's the sort of stuff you'd hear. You'd go to a venue and you just hear, "Uh oh, I called mum for an hour." That's what.
yeah. But I mean, like that shit's like to see that live, like
Oh,
that's a good
probably.
time,
Yeah, that's
you
like
know.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, like when I saw Amyl and the Sniffers, like I find that listening to their albums isn't that great, but to actually see them play all that stuff live is just nuts because like the energy is just crazy. I mean, I don't know, they're just like some enigma or a force of
yeah,
nature. Like they're an
yeah. I'll have to
experience,
check
you
them
know.
out because I've never actually
Um,
properly got into them like listening wise. So once I am able and old enough to get into a venue, I'll definitely check them out as soon as I can.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
a fun time.
Oregon Australians rocking out on the stage. I can picture it. I think it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like Bogapalooza, right?
That's a great name.
Yeah. All right, Declan, it's been
cheers,
awesome
man.
talking with you, man. I appreciate you for coming on the podcast and just like having a fucking cool conversation. This is it's been fun. And enjoy the rest of your youth.
Plenty of youth with King Gizzard. I'm very happy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you
hey,
too,
take
man.
it easy.
All right, have a good one.